So that was 1 Kings 18, and we read from verse 15 to the end, which is 46. But the main theme from what we have read is that there were prophets, should we say false prophet, idols, who worship idols, who were false in their nature, in their life, and everything they did was against God. And so because of the sin in the land, because of what had happened throughout the years, the king Ahab decided to hunt and then hunt for the prophet Elijah. Unfortunately, the Lord kept Elijah away from him, and he went left and right, back and forth into different countries to try to get him. And so we know that that is what happened. And so eventually God said, okay, show yourself to him, let him see you. And then we see from the beginning of what we read, he said, verse 15, and Elijah said, as the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him, that means Ahab, today. So Obadiah, who was the servant of Ahab, who was also a Christian, but let's use the word, who feared the Lord, was always there. And we all know from what he was saying that Ahab was a very wicked person, and he knows everything that needs to be done the right way, but he didn't follow. And so he was influenced by the devil, and he allowed the devil to fool him, to deceive him, and to cause harm to the nation. So in this case, we see that Elijah explained that, okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to present myself before you, and I want you to bring your false prophet so that we can have a contest. And then if you really want to know what is going on, if you want to know how we can have rain where things can be well again, let's bring and see which of us, whether your prophets or in my case, me. I stand before the Lord, and whatever I do it on behalf of the Lord. So let's do a contest. And so Ahab said, okay, all right, I'll agree with you. So he then agreed, and they brought all of this prophet. And Elijah said, okay, since you guys are many, why don't you present your, do your presentation, and let's see what they did. Everything, it didn't work out. And so what we're trying to address is not about the miracles that Elijah did, because we know God used him to the extent that when he raised the altar and brought what needs to be done, he did everything in a way that showed that it was impossible, but God did a miraculous job in our presentation, rather we should say, in the presence of all, so that everybody saw that, well, what God has done in allowing, the altar that Elijah, raised. And so we also see that everything was consumed. The water, the stick, everything, everything was burned, which means God performed a miraculous, work, so that everybody saw what was happening. All right, so this is chapter 18. But before then, we also see that, who else? There was also a situation in which God had called Ahab. And when he called him, what did he do? He was, in his life, he became a king because his father Omri was the king. He was formerly a captain. The father was a captain in Israel, and then through in those days they had people who were just killing one another, and also so many things were happening. And the captain will kill the king, and then he becomes the king, and then so many things, and then they become everybody. There was always things going on, treason and all of that included. So we see from Ahab's beginning that he didn't have the right upbringing, and even when he grew up to the extent that he became a king, he, as an Israelite, knows what needs to be done, but he went ahead and married somebody who is an idol worshiper. So in 1 Kings 16:21 says, or 31 says, and it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him, which is Ahab, to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped it. So we can see that in spite of the fact that he knows what to do, he's been brought up as an Israelite, he knows what things they are supposed to do. What did he do? He went contrary to what is commanded, and went to marry basically a priestess, somebody, the Zidonians. And it's really sad that when we know what to do, but then we deliberately go and do the wrong thing. And so that is for us to know that we need to be careful about what we do when we know that this is wrong, and then we decide, oh, I'm going to do it all the same because I prefer it, I like it, and then it becomes something else. So that is what he did before, when he knew that God was not happy with him, and for him to do such a thing. And then as we go through, we find that after Elijah had done that miraculous work in the presence of all, and then he knew what was done, he even encouraged his wife. That means, Jezebel, to go. What was Jezebel? Jezebel had her own false prophets. All the prophets that Elijah killed, he decided Ahab allowed his wife to also reign of terror, to say that, oh, because you have killed my prophets, I'm also going to hunt you down and kill you, and also, take your life the same way you took their life. But God prevented the woman Jezebel from succeeding, and so he allowed Prophet Elijah to escape. Then that was not all. So many things that Ahab did and allowed the wife to influence him to the extent that it was just terrible. So then we go to 1 Kings again, chapter 22. And this time we see that Ahab, he's been involved with so many things. He is friendly with the good people. Let's use a Christian. He is friendly with those who call upon God. But his interactions with them are only meant to just be, oh, well, you are this thing, you are worshiping idol, and it doesn't bother me. No, in the other way. Usually it's supposed to be that somebody, in the case of Jehoshaphat, who was a king of Judah, who was supposed to know better, he also associated with Ahab. And the two of them, they became friends and they were doing things together. And so we see that in spite of the fact that Ahab was friendly with Jehoshaphat, who is also the king of Israel, king of Judah, because they were the two. Israel became two. You have Judah, and then you have Israel, which is the 10 tribes of Israel, and then the two went with Judah. So everything that happened, as we talk about remembering Ahab, is that he knew what to do, but he failed to follow the instructions, the commandments, and even when he had people who were godly in his life, he never obeyed them.